Hello class, this is the first of two videos over the final exam. This video talks about general preparations for the final exam, as well as the structure and outline of the final exam, the order in which you should write. Please watch the second video for a discussion of the content of Elizabeth Bishop's poem. So, let's talk about the general structure of the final exam for English 111. This is an online exam that you can take at any point during December 14th and December 20th. That is finals week. The question that you will need to answer will be available to you in the weekly materials section beginning on December 14th. This exam is not timed, but you must complete it by the 20th. You can take the entire 6 days to do it. It will not time out. It's not one of those exams that takes 2 hours to complete or anything like that, but it must be done between the time period of the 14th to the 20th. You must upload the paper like all our other assignments. This English 111 final exam is an essay exam, so you will write an introduction, a body, conclusion that you will attach and upload at the submission portal. Since you are studying a poem, please make sure you're using in-text citation when using evidence. That is a graded component of the final exam, so make sure you're using in-text citation as we talked about and practiced all the way back when we looked at Gary Jackson's poem. If you've forgotten how to do that, take a look at the example here. That shows you how to quote the line numbers of the poem. You will respond to a question given to you at the beginning of the exam date. So some general tips on how best to navigate the finals experience and English 1 exam in particular. It's always best when you're studying for any exam is to make a study plan that will help you break down the information you learned and prep for whatever exam it is, whether this is an English class, history class, what have you. It's always important to divide bigger tasks into smaller tasks. So if you're studying for a math final, instead of trying to read and study the whole book at once, break it into smaller tasks and do it in shorter chunks. For English 111, I would read the poem, I would look at the poem, I would read the poem out loud, and I would look specifically for symbols and rhymes. So for the week of the exam, please make sure that you're taking care of your body. Your body and how you're feeling physically can impact how you're able to mentally handle the exams at the end of the semester. I know this has been a difficult semester for everyone, so please try and do the best you can. Make sure that you're eating and make sure that you're drinking plenty of water. Try not to overdo it with caffeine and coffee and energy drinks, as those can cause crashing and give you a headache. Make sure that you're prepared for your final exams. Make sure you have all the materials that you're able to use. You know where you're submitting them on Blackboard and how to analyze them. Right? And make sure that you're ready to complete the exam between the 14th and the 20th of December. So, when you take an essay exam for any class, it's important to understand what the teacher is asking you for in the question, in the essay prompt, in the exam prompt. Too many students make the error of thinking the best way to answer an essay exam question is to write down everything they can think about the topic as fast as they can. It's a grave error to not take any time to think about the essay question or to not take any time to organize your answer. Always take time to plan out your response first before you start writing it. That will save you a lot of time and make your life a heck of a lot easier. So to help with this, when the exam question is released on the 14th, read the questions several times to make sure you clearly understand what is being asked for. Look for key words in the prompt. Words like explain, defend, analyze, summarize, investigate. These are the key words that will tell you what your professor is asking you to do. Once you've understood the question, make sure that you can craft an answer, which will be your thesis statement, that answers the question you are specifically being asked. Then it's always best to create a short outline so that you can stay on task as you complete the final exam. Second, don't go to the internet. One of the biggest ways that a student can fail the English 111 exam is using materials somewhere else. Use the materials presented to you on Blackboard, these PowerPoints and videos, and your own response to the poem. Once you're kind of set, once you've understood the question, you have a plan, you have your materials, you've organized an outline, you have your thesis statement, then begin to write the essay. To answer the essay question for English 111, I want you to focus on two concepts of poetry to explain in your answer. You will explain these in relation to Elizabeth Bishop's poem that you read for the exam. What I want to make sure you answer is one, a symbol. You will analyze a symbol and the rhyme scheme of Bishop's poem. A symbol is an image, object, or thing used in literature that always represents more than just its typical description. As you read Elizabeth Bishop's poem, you'll be given several items that are symbolic of other issues, symbolic of other ideas. So in your paper, I want you to select at least one key symbol and be able to explain how it relates to your thesis statement. Next is the rhyme scheme. A rhyme scheme in a poem is the use of similar sounds, words, or ideas paired together to help emphasize a particular theme or idea in a poem. The poem that you'll read for the final exam has a very important rhyme scheme, so you're going to want to explain to me how that rhyme scheme supports your thesis statement. Now, as you go to write the poem, or as you go to write your answer, do not use any of these definitions presented here in your answer for the essay exam. Simply note that you are looking for a symbol and a rhyme. Explain to me how that means in the poem. So, let's talk briefly about the structure of your essay. Your essay will have an introduction, body, and conclusion. In your introduction, you have two tasks. Summarize the poem, make sure you note the author's name and title of the poem, and then present to me your thesis statement. Your thesis statement should be the last sentence of your introduction, and your thesis statement must answer the question presented in the exam prompt. Never rephrase the question in an essay exam. Simply state your answer to that question. That is your introduction. Two tasks: summary and a thesis statement from you that answers the question presented to you in the essay prompt. Next, you will have two body paragraphs. In these body paragraphs, you will analyze a symbol in one paragraph and a rhyme in the other. You will explain that symbol or rhyme in the paragraph. You will then introduce evidence from the poem that presents that rhyme or symbol. You will quote. And then, like you do, we will always do the two-step process whenever we use evidence to support it. You will tell me what's important in that quote. Then you will tell me how that quote relates back to your thesis statement. Remember, anytime you quote in the body of your essay, you always need to be doing our two key steps. What is important, how it relates back to your main idea. You will give me two body paragraphs, one on a symbol, one on the rhyme scheme of the poem. Both body paragraphs will have this same step. You will introduce your topic sentence, you will provide evidence, then you will explain the evidence using our two-step process. Next, you will have a conclusion. Your conclusion should be 5 sentences, and in your conclusion, you should explain, once again, how the theme of the poem connects back to your thesis statement. Then explain to me if this poem reminds you or relates to anything that we have read this semester. Does not matter what it is. I just want you to pick something that you have read from this semester and explain to me how Elizabeth Bishop's poem shares an idea, relates to it, whatever you may think, to something else we've read this semester. It can be anything. So, as always, make sure to study the poem and reread them. Study this PowerPoint and the other videos. Make sure that you can find one symbol and one rhyme from the poem. Make sure that you can explain how the theme of the poem relates back to your thesis statement. And make sure that your conclusion explains your answer and relates back to something that you've read this semester. Good luck and do well on the final exam.